All right, everybody, welcome to NorCal Sports Network. And this is the same hat that Brock Purdy's dad wears. Chat loves it when Marty Lurie comes on.
Anytime you lose a game this time of year, when you can't go backwards, it's a problem.
Oops. All right, everybody, welcome on into NorCal Sports Network. Little baseball action tonight, and got some NFL guys in here too, so we'll probably get into some of that as well. But welcome on in, Los. Welcome on in, Lou. We see the Giants getting into the spending. We talk about the fact that they haven't gone after anybody, Santander or Alonso or Bregman, three guys that could actually make a difference for the team. I was going to pull up a post here if I can find it. I don't know where I did with it, but I think it was put out by, I think John Heyman had actually tagged it from somebody else. So I'll pull it up. Here it is. Yeah. All right. So we'll pull this up and take a look at the spending of teams. And the Giants are right on this list, guys. And this is the team payrolls at the end of last year. And then this year we see there's about 6 teams that have increased their spending. Philadelphia, Baltimore, Detroit, San Diego, actually. I don't know how they did that. Maybe from signing some extending guys, or I don't know how they've spent more. I thought they lost a couple guys, but anyway.
Are the Giants even on the list?
Yeah, I'll pull it up a little bit here.
Okay.
And so you got $34 million by the Phillies. They went up from 264 to 298, and Baltimore up $30 million. The rest are just up, $9 million. Padres $5 million. Dodgers are only up $317,000. Is that right? Or yeah, $317,220. The Giants are down here. They're minus $43 million. So they were at 205. They're at 205. They spent 249 last year. They can go up to 241 without going over the competitive balance tax. So I don't know what the Giants are thinking. I mean, are you looking to actually, compete? Are you just looking at a rebuild? And if you're looking at some type of rebuild, that's fine. But why are you signing at Chapman and Adames then?
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. These guys, you don't have the time in these guys' careers. You can't just waste a year and say, oh, well, we signed Chapman for 6 and Adames for 7. We'll just punt on 25. And we'll see what we got, see who does well, and then we'll reassess after the 25 season. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, they're doing what they usually do, which is staying in the middle lane, just spending a little bit of money to create a little bit of interest so people can come to the ballpark. But just seems like they don't have any interest in really trying to win in 25. It's a business model, and that's how they seem to be, approaching it. So it's disappointing so far, to be honest.
I see people in the chat saying, not worth Santander or Alonso or people, not worth giving up the draft picks. What have the Giants done with their draft picks? I mean,
not much.
I mean, you gave up draft picks for Chapman. You gave up draft picks for Adames. Why wouldn't you go give up draft picks for a better player like Bregman or Alonso, who actually gives you some pop? And you don't even have a first baseman. I don't know. I don't see. The draft picks are important if you're drafting at the top of the draft. They're drafting in the middle. And I can pull up their draft of the last 10 years drafts. Who's produced? Who's produced?
Not many guys at all.
Maybe Webb. I don't even know when he was drafted. Somewhere around 10 years ago.
When was Ramos drafted?
17. There's one.
Montos to be determined. Harrison, no. Wisenhunt, no. Eldridge to be determined. Meckler, who knows? Yeah, not much to show for in drafts.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be a real good organization if you're not trading, if you're not signing free agents, and you're not drafting well. I mean, good morning, good afternoon, good night. That's not a good recipe.
Yeah, Perry, I thought the kids were the answer last year. I didn't say they were the answer. I said you got to play them. The problem is the Giants wasted 2 years by not playing kids. And now you're signing Chapman and Adames. What message are the Giants sending? I have no idea. They are such a middle of the road, driving right down the middle, not figuring out what lane do I need to get in? Do I need to get in the fast lane? Well, you know what? If I want to get in the fast lane, I'm signing Corbin Burns and Max Fried, because now I got Fried, Burns, and Webb, and I will dominate in a series, in a short series, and I will take you on. I will get to the playoffs that way, and I will sign the job well. And I'm going to go for that. If you're going to get into the slow lane and rebuild, then play the kids. But stop this up and down. What are the Giants doing? What are they doing? I don't think they really, truly have a legitimate plan in place.
Well, Ned talks a lot, guys, about the Giants trying to make San Francisco a destination once again. And that's the starting point, like trying to get people to want to come here. And so far, it's not happening. I mean, they're not making, other than Verlander, that's not going to really move the needle. Adames helps a little bit, but yeah, they just need to do more, and they just are doing what we're always saying they're doing, which is perfectly fine to be a middle of the road mediocre team that draws over 2 million people, makes a little bit of money, has a few good players, and they're satisfied with that. And that's really frustrating for a very, very good, strong Giants fan base that deserves more.
We've never heard that, Michi, from Prosy directly. He's never come out and said we're not spending. We've only heard that from reporters. We've heard it's expected the Giants are not going to spend. But the fact is they just spent $15 million on a 42-year-old. I mean, what are you doing?
Which is it?
I mean, if you're going to go with the kids, then freaking bring up Carson Wisenhunt and go with the kids. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're sending such a conflicting message, because on one hand, you're saying you're going to go with the kids. We like our young pitching staff. He has said that. I like the idea. He said we're going to go with our young pitching. But who's the young pitchers? Harrison and Birdsong? Is Roop going to get a shot? Is Wisenhunt going to get a shot? I mean, Michi, you're the so-called, what are you saying here? The so-called kids he wants to see you have already played some time in the big leagues, and they could very well break out this year. They could. They should have been playing them solid when you had a crappy team. Why do you sign Willie Adames and Matt Chapman, who are 30? Chapman's going to be 32. Adames is going to be 31. Or is he going to be 30? I'm not sure.
That's the problem with the Giants, though, and their young players. Every time we get to this point of the year where the season's going to get going here and spring training starts next month, where those same words keep popping up. The young players might play. They could play. They possibly could play. It's never a commitment. It's never just an all-out. We're gonna play them. If they fail, we're gonna keep playing them until they figure it out. If they don't figure it out by at least half the year, we give them at least 300 at-bats for the everyday players and enough starts for the starting pitchers, then we'll make judgments and determinations. But none of this, you're hot for 1 week, you're player of the week, and then you're sent down the following week later. Make a commitment once and for all.
Well, the big says mess Farhan left can't be fixed in one half season.
That's true.
Probably true. That is true.
I agree.
But there are things they could be doing. There are things they could be doing, and that could have been to. I just don't know what their plan is, because they don't have a good minor league to make trades. And if you look at next year's free agent crop, there's 2 players of note that are going to be free agents, and that's Kyle Tucker, and why is the other name escaping me all of a sudden? Who's the other big free agent? Jeez.
Tucker and Vlad.
Yeah, Vladdy. Thank you. Tucker and Vladdy. Thanks, Lou. Lou, give us your thoughts. You've been a Giants fan. You sat in the front row for years. Tell us, what do you think?
I think with Buster in charge, it's more confusing. I see the comments saying we can't really fix the problem. I'll tell you what the problem is. They're happy with fourth place. They could have fixed the problem. With arbitration that came 2 days ago, why are you bringing back Tyler Rogers, who you tried to get rid of last year? Why? If you're going to bring the youth, then I want the youth. Duvall. I didn't want Duvall back. He's dead wood. The guy's got a mental problem. We could have, again, used somebody else. Signing Yaz. Dead wood. Didn't need to bring him back. Nobody wants Yaz. We all think, oh, Yaz. He's been with us for 9 years? I'm sick and tired of him. Late night Lamont. He's not a first baseman. The guy was horrible last year when he came back. I don't want him for 2 or 3 more years. We just do dumb mistakes. Okay, we didn't need to bring these guys back. And you know what? I would have rather them just play all the youth. Okay. It doesn't make any sense. We have a shortstop, a third baseman, Gold Glove guys, but we don't have a first baseman or a second. What do we do in the offseason? Our big pickups. We get a 42-year-old guy, only had 17 starts. Again, we're hoping he's going to be like he was 2 years ago, off an injury. Okay. Our pitching staff right now is worse than last year. And then worse, here's the other thing. What did we do recently? Oh, we picked up more crumbs. We got another backup catcher. Okay. And because since we got the old guy, we had to get rid of Blake Sable, who at least could play a few things. It's just pathetic. It's like, it reminds me of Def Leppard's song, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. We're in the same boat we were last year. Okay. People don't realize we're in the toughest division of baseball. You know what? Dan, about 4 months ago, you were frustrated. You said, I'm not even going to call them Giants because they're midgets. The San Francisco midgets are pathetic. Okay. I've been saying this since he got hired. Buster is a guinea pig. We're not going to do anything. And if you look at the photo to the left or right of Los and below me and Dan, by May 3rd, that ballpark will be half empty. Okay. I've been telling you the first 6 weeks of the season is brutal. We're going to be about 10 games out. The Giants total is 80.5, worse than last year. So Giants fans, just face it. This team is a disaster, going nowhere. Okay, Robert. Oh, yeah, Buster's in charge. Have faith. Why in the hell am I going to have faith? The team's worse. Okay, we got to face one thing about San Francisco, guys. Niners, bad year. Bad year. Okay, it's going to be really tough to get back. Warriors, right now, they're not even in the playoff. They're in the 11th seed. Okay, horrible. So you got the Giants, just want to fit in. Why not, huh? We're in the city of losers right now. The only team that maybe has a future, and Dan brought this up before, are maybe the Sharks because they're playing youth, and in 2 years they're going to be better. But we're worse than mediocre. What you guys should do is just start chanting "Light the Beam." Okay, the Kings are the hottest team in the Bay Area. I don't really give a shit about the WNBA. That's not even a team. Okay, so I don't even want to talk about that, and I don't give a shit about the Oakland Ballers. I'm not even sure what type of league that is. People make a big thing. And then I don't care about soccer. When the Earthquakes actually are 500 just 1 year out of their last 20, I'll support them. But it's ridiculous, dude. We're in the city of safeness, I guess is the best way. It's pathetic. Sorry, Tony Bennett died 5 years ago, mid to lab. But that's where he is. But yeah,
hey,
it's just pathetic.
Chase says, "Hey Dan and Los, I challenge you to say something nice about the Giants."
Oh, I can.
Well,
I can.
I like Logan Webb, Elliot Ramos, and I like the colors. I think orange and black is a really cool color. I think it's a great stadium. Elliot Ramos is up and coming. Logan Webb, he's a excellent pitcher. Bryce Eldridge is coming up. That all looks good. But what do you want me to tell you? They're a fourth place team, Chase. And they're going to remain a fourth place team until they take this serious. There you go. Go ahead, Love.
I like the food at the ballpark, and I like the alternative jerseys. There, positive.
Well, the new ones, remember, they're going to have new city jerseys, so we'll see how it is. You know, it's pathetic. You know, we talked about this last night with Dan. You know, I'm not happy. Why did they, we have William Flores. The guy batted, 203 last year, had like 13 errors. There's nobody exciting on this team. You know, we still have the major problem. We're going to strike out too much. We're not sure about our pitching staff and everybody else in our division. And I'm telling you guys, Colorado is going to be better this year, are better than us. So you know what?
Except for
we're
Colorado.
happy.
I don't think Colorado's better than the Giants yet, but they will be closer than they were last year.
Exactly. So
one more thing. I like bald dudes because I respect my elders.
Oh yeah, the bald dudes.
There you go.
You know.
Hey,
it's sort of ridiculous. The Niner fans and Giant fans are becoming such homers, they're not facing reality. They all say, oh, well, next year will be good. Oh, we were good 4 years ago over this. You know, it's like there's so many big question marks. You know, with Los here, we talk about Purdy. We know he's not worth the money. But what are they going to do? We're not sure. It's going to be a huge decision. Same thing with the Giants. You know, let's put Buster in charge. Everything's going to be better without Farhan. Right now, it's worse. We have a worse team than last year, guys.
Yeah, the over-under is 80.5 for the Giants this year. Last year,
83.5.
83.5. So that tells you that Vegas thinks they are worse off. I will say this. Those who think that we're too negative don't want to be negative. But look, Lou and I, and especially Lou, he's still a season ticket holder. I was a season ticket holder. Okay, anybody who's put up, Lou puts up close to 50 grand for 4 tickets a year. I put up, mine were only like 12, 13. They're probably over 15 now. I just said, I wasn't invested in it enough where I had front row seats to continue. But look, we've put money in the Giants' pockets. The front office relies on people like Lou and when I was a season ticket holder to set their budgets. Do you realize that it's season ticket holders that are the foundation for what the club does for the upcoming season? You know why they're not spending? Because they're losing season ticket holders, guys. And why are they losing season ticket holders? Because people don't want to spend the money to watch second-rate baseball, boring baseball. That's why. I didn't want to go watch, believe me, when I had season tickets in 21, it was great. Why? Because the games I didn't make, people wanted to go to, and I made money. It was easy to sell tickets in 21.
Yeah, you have a whole different perspective when you're putting money out of your pocket about what you expect back. Just think about this. Think if you're a homeowner and you have HOA, not a condo or townhouse. You have a single family residence. You have HOA. How many times have all of you said, what the hell are we paying $300, $400, $500 a month for? They don't do anything. Boom. That's the San Francisco Giants. Just call them HOA.
Good point. Yeah, I'd say that same thing about my stinking HOA right now.
Yeah, me too.
Jeez.
Although it's a lot cheaper down here.
Yeah. But guys, we want to be positive about the Giants. We will be positive about the Giants when, look, this is a no homer network. We'll tell you like it is. If we think they're making really good moves, Aaron, I'm spending more at $4.99 a month than the Giants.
Attaboy.
As a member, there you go. Yeah, look. When the Giants make positive moves, we've been on here, and I thought the Adames move was a good signing because they don't have a shortstop. There's not one shortstop in the entire organization. Can you believe that? Not one. There's not one shortstop that is able to play in the major leagues. And that's why, if they wanted to play the kids who somebody was talking about, why didn't you just play Schmidt and
Fitzgerald,
short and second? If they were going to play the kids, Michi, they committed to Adames. That tells you you're trying to win. So if you're going to go sign Adames and give up 2 draft picks, why would you go get Santander or Alonso or both? Why not have a really good lineup? good lineups tend to hit, and they tend to score runs, and they tend to win games, and they tend to make the playoffs. I don't get this whole thing of, nobody wants your kids. You couldn't make trades and you haven't been able to make trades for like 4 years. Remember when the Soto deal was, and Farhan, yeah, we're in this. We got some guys. We're gonna. They didn't even listen to you.
They get out of here. It's SF.
Just shut up. Don't even present anything. And then Kyle Tucker, you say you're in on Kyle Tucker. Why didn't they take your guys? They didn't give up much. I'm telling you, Chicago, to get Kyle Tucker. Cam Smith, Paredes, and some other guy I'd never heard of.
Another scrub.
Giants couldn't have given up. They got 3 players. Giants didn't have 5 or 6 to double the players to go get a Kyle Tucker for a year. Why not? You're not using the 5 or 6 guys either. I proposed a trade that you'll see in a video coming out tomorrow on Marco Luciano. Why not trade Luciano? And because he's not playing and he's out of options after next year, trade Luciano, trade there was a couple other guys in the trade, Grant McCray, another young pitcher, Joe Whitman, I think, and I don't know, 4 players. Go get Luis Robert Jr. Why? Because he's got potential. Yes, he's hurt a lot. And you know what? That's okay. Giants need to take risks like that because they play it so safe, they never get a star. What happens if Robert stays healthy and he plays 140-plus games? The guy's going to be a star for you. The problem isn't Robert's play. It's his lack of availability. But the Giants should go out and make that type of trade because – and there's you can't make that trade. You got Jung-Hoo Lee. The hell you can't. Move Jung-Hoo Lee to right field or put Robert in right field. I don't care. But, look, get better incrementally. And you're not going to play Luciano anyway. You're not going to probably play Joe Whitman. You're probably not going to play Grant McCray. And I can't remember who the other guy I had in the deal was. It was the young Dakota Jordan who you just drafted, who's supposed to have tons of power. But the Giants will probably never see him. And why not go get a Luis Robert? Chicago would like to probably get rid of him for sure. And they're the type of team that wants young players that are major league ready and a couple of years away so they can reboot. So I don't understand their thinking.
I mean, if you look at the Giants since they've been in San Francisco in 1958, so they've been out here for 66 years. And if you look at how they built their teams over those years, only Barry Bonds is the only free agent that really changed the dynamic of that team. The Giants have never built their team on free agents. The Giants have always built their winning teams, not just their championship teams, based on good drafts or GMs like Al Rosen and Brian Sabian that took risk, like Dan said, weren't playing it safe. They took risk and they made trades. And sometimes they traded good players, not prospects, traded good players like Matt Williams. So, this regime has not done any of that. They're still not getting free agents. Now they're not drafting well, and they're not pulling any trades and taking any risks. So it's no wonder that the Giants are struggling. You cannot miss on all 3. But just everybody just saying, hey, sign this guy, sign that guy, sign this guy. Like the Giants have never built their team based on free agents. It's just, and you could say, well, that's the way of today's baseball. No, not necessarily. It isn't. You got to have some of your homegrown prospects hit, play well, and be a big part of your core. And that's not the case.
Absolutely. Right now. Chase, I agree. I've been saying this all along. Hicks needs to be in the bullpen with Duvall and Walker. If you can get Duvall back to the way he was in 23, you got a great 7, 8, 9 setup. If Duvall stinks, you just move off of him, cut him, whatever. But you need Hicks in the bullpen to counter if Duvall is still struggling. If he's not, now you've just created a monster bullpen. So,
hey, Dan, the one thing, too, about the farm system, what happens if Eldridge isn't as good as we think? If you
Speaking
look,
of the farm, speaking of the farm
once he's
system,
out of the farm system, who do we really have? Dakota Jordan, he's still probably 2-3 years away.
at least
Tibbs,
3.
he's probably 2 years away. Wisenhunt, I've been hearing about him for 3 years. He's probably 2 years away. So we have absolutely
I think
nobody.
Wisenhunt's going to be up sometime in 25 or 26 at the latest. If not,
Okay.
he's a bust.
So here's the problem. The Giants, when they were successful and they needed stuff, they needed people to trade. Remember, nobody wants our players. We're stuck with them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't like the signings. Nobody wants Yaz. A team that maybe has a huge injury and needs someone just to get from point A to point B, they might make a trade for him, but we're depending on a lot, And then the problem is, then we're stuck with a team that's not a winning team. I mean, except for maybe Chili Davis, maybe Brandon Belt. This guy has more pressure on him where we're making him like, my God, almost like I'd want to say like Ken Griffey when he was the number 1 pick. I mean, of that stature. But we've heard this before with the Giants. Over the last 7-8 years, everyone that's been called up has been a bust. So what's gonna be different with this guy? Because he's 6'7", because he's a lefty, because he went through the minors. Remember, guys, the minors are a lot different than when you go the major leagues. These are the best, the creme of la creme. So just, I mean, I'd love for them to take their time with Eldridge, but knowing us, late night Lamont's not going to come through. We're going to
I think they'll wait, Lou.
Boom.
I think they'll wait on him. I don't think they rush him. Buster, I think, won't rush him. Anyway, guys, let me get to this. Let me get to this second. I want to get this super out of the so. Fix the farm system first before overspending on free agents. The Big 25 says, thank you for the donation. I agree. They should be fixing the farm system. I've said it all along. And Los, choose a lane. Either go all in and try to win with stars and spend the money closer to $300 million a year in payroll. Going to cost you a lot of money. But if you're not willing to do that, the best way to do this is fix the farm system. How do you do that, Los?
Get better scouts. Just go back to scouting because they got away with it with Farhan and the whole analytical team and room that they built at the ballpark. I mean, just go back to old school scouts, going to see players in person, and judging them and analyzing them and seeing how they would play in our ballpark. Lou, you brought up Eldridge. We don't know what he's going to be, but I mean, even the law of averages. I mean, if you close your eyes and throw darts, at some point you're going to hit the dartboard. You would think at some point the Giants have to hit on some draft picks. I have said this before. I don't think our farm system and our coaching staffs down there, I don't know if they're teaching our prospects very well. You always hear about the Giants drafting a guy and they play him out of position. You don't mess with a young kid like that. If he's a third baseman, Casey Smith's a perfect example. If he's a third baseman, leave him at third base. Baseball's that one game you got to play offense and defense. And if you're struggling where you're positioned at defense, it can mess with your mind offensively. It's a very mental game. So I don't think the Giants are doing a very good job in their farm system. So one, get better and get newer scouts. I've always said, poach the best scouts from other organizations that do well, like Baltimore, and give them a big pay raise and bring them over here. That's a little behind the scenes type of things that they can do to help, get better draft picks and get better players in here. It's not going to be an instantaneous solution, but it will build. And right now, we'll take that.
Aaron says he's still waiting for Gary Brown call up.
Yeah, that guy.
The Giants are sucking at first-round picks like the Niners. True.
Bingo. Ding, 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 ding.
Randy Wynn, yes, talked about the Giants not preparing pitchers enough. I did hear that. I've been saying that for over a year. Frustrating how they handled Kyle Harrison. A joke. Farhan was a joke, a first-class joke. And the Giants, as an organization, I'm sorry. People running the organization for the Giants been a joke for keeping Farhan. They weren't even going to fire him until basically Buster jumped in and said, enough's enough. These owners don't know anything about baseball. I'm telling you, they don't care about baseball. They care about the bottom line, and that is winning at the gate when it comes to finances. I mean, what owner says a year ago, our goal is to break even at least? We'll go over if necessary, but meaning, look, Greg Johnson, you shouldn't even own the team. We've done videos on this. Sell your share. Do the San Francisco Giants fans a favor. Sell your 26%. Cash out. Leave. You didn't even buy any shares when you started off. Your daddy, Charles Johnson, who's like 92, he didn't own hardly anything when the Giants first were bought from Bob Lurie. He had nothing to do with it. He was very, very much a minority owner. He sold it. I mean, the people that had the shares were Sue and what were their names, Lou? Sue and
was it Bird?
Not Bird. Now you're thinking of Sue Bird. No. Bun or Burns.
Burns.
Sue Bird, the WNBA basketball player that you don't watch. I don't like the WNBA, but I know who Sue Bird is. That's great.
So, but that's what they need to do. But you know what? They're not going to do it. So the next best thing you have to wait for is, guys, you're just going to have to wait for Buster to rebuild this thing, and hopefully he does it the right way. I think it's a tougher haul than it looks like. He's seeing that he hasn't been able to get any free agents. Now, if he's somehow able to land Roki Sasaki, that will be a huge, huge lift in the right direction. We'll find out here within about 8 to 9 days, I believe. Eligible to find out as early as Wednesday. I don't think it happens until next, like the week after this coming week, after the 20th is when I expect Roki to make the decision. Because if he makes it on the 15th and he chooses the Dodgers, it looks really bad. It looks really bad. That's why I think if he's going to the Dodgers, the longer this thing gets pushed to the 20th, 21st, 22nd, more likely he chooses the Dodgers. If he chooses a team other than the Dodgers, it could happen as early as the 15th or 16th.
I think we touched on it a little bit tonight, but we kind of swept by it, right away. And that is ownership. And we've talked about it a little bit before, but we really don't stay on it. We kind of stay on who the GM is and what they're going to do. Guys, I mean, let's call it as it is. This ownership doesn't have any interest in the Giants winning baseball games. It's not their priority. I don't even know if it's their second priority. So this is the big elephant in the room. We're not afraid to call it out. We don't talk about it a whole lot, but this is the reality of it. Is in the Bay Area right now, Jed York is no Eddie DeBartolo. And the Giants ownership right now is nothing like the Giants ownerships of the past. The only owner, and I don't know the Sharks owner very well, so I can't speak to that. Maybe Cliff Martinez can talk about him a little bit more. But the only owner out of the big three in the Bay Area that really, truly wants to win is Joe Lacob. That's it. If Joe Lacob would buy the San Francisco Giants, then we might have something. So we could have the greatest GM in the world, but if we don't have the ownership to back them up or back him up, then what are we doing? I mean, as long as ownership is the way they are, it's just going to remain the same. I hate to say it.
Yeah, and the thing about this number one prospect, that is Joshua De Jesus Gonzalez. I believe they need to sign him on the 15th. He is ranked the number one prospect prior to Sasaki. He's a switch hitter, shortstop, loads of talent compared to Francisco Lindor. Don't wait on him. You lose him. Sign him on the 15th. You got two other prospects. You're going to have very little international money left. You can still make trades. You can make up to $250,000 trades with up to 10 teams. You can go 50% of your pool. Giants have like 5 million, so they can add another 2.5 million if they need to. So if you start seeing trades being done, but I think the Dodgers are gearing up for Sasaki. So some of their moves lean that way. Lacob on 95.7 said that he's friends with Charles and Greg Johnson, though I doubt he will buy the Giants. Okay, well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Hey, Dan, can I say something, Dan?
No, not at all, Lou. Go ahead.
I just wanted somebody on the chat asked me why I'm always so upset. So I was at Oracle Park when the Giants choked, leading by 3 runs in the 9th inning, game 4 of the 2016 playoffs. Okay. In fact, I was actually going to go on a private plane to Chicago for game 5. That's how excited I was. But I just want to I just want to tell you guys, I just want to read some stats, and then I'll explain why what Dan said 10 minutes ago pisses me off. Okay. How our owners just happened to break even. Okay. I'm going to read them to you. 64-98, 73-89, 77-85, 29-31, 81-81, 79-83, 80-82. I don't count 2021 because that was a blur. Okay, we got lucky that year. So not only have we not had a winning record, if you go to the second half of the season, they've all been losing records, including 2016. So we've had 8 straight years, except 1 year, where we've had losing records in the second half. And overall, we haven't been over 500. That's a disgrace for the 5th biggest market. The Giants should never, ever have to go through this. The fans should never have to go through this. Right now, here's what's the scariest part. The A's sold out their season. Every ticket is sold out for the A's, because that's what they're called now. They have more money sold with Giants season ticket holders. I mean, the A's have sold more regular season tickets than the Giants as of right now. The Giants, are going to have to win. They get a lot of, walk-ups. They do this, but that's embarrassing. Here's a team that plays 12,975 people Sacramento holds. Every game is sold out. The Giants are below 7,000 season ticket holders. It gets worse every year. Why? Because they're safe and nobody cares about a team. In San Francisco, you can do so many things. But instead of maybe you go into Oracle, maybe 5, 6, 10 games a year, you know what? I'll just go a couple. But Oracle Park's gotten old. It's expensive to park. They're, being a season ticket holder, they used to give us 25% off. Who knows what they're going to do this year? 2 years ago, they said if you pay your money early for being a season ticket holder, they give you a jersey. I tried to get a jersey. It was saying fire Farhan, and the Giants wouldn't do it. So I said, I don't want the goddamn jersey, and I threw it back at them. Last year, they offered us nothing. This year, they've offered us nothing. Okay? As Dan will tell you, if my seats weren't in the front row and the best in the house, I probably wouldn't go to maybe 2 games. But it's one of those things where it's sort of a family loom, and, I split it with my brothers and the family. We all go. But right now, the Giants aren't the hottest thing in town, okay? And that's a big problem. Dan, about a week ago, we talked about used to seeing San Francisco Giants merch everywhere. Guys wearing the hat, jerseys all over the place. You don't see it anymore. You just don't see it. And the other thing is everything has changed, the Bay Area, right? In the last couple of years, downtown is still a problem. It's not as full. It's still empty. Yeah, we have a new mayor, but it's still known for crime, right? It's a different thing. And the problem with the owners, they haven't adjusted to the fans. Okay. Oracle Park is now over 25 years old, right? Came in 2000.
That's hard.
It's gotten to the point now where it's still $18 for beer. Larry Bear made a deal. Oh, yeah. You remember the big thing 2 years ago? Guys, you can get a beer for under $9. Yeah, they don't even do that anymore. So there's really, why would I want to spend $100 for just tickets for maybe you and your son when you can stay home and watch the game on TV? And that's the biggest problem. The ballpark is good, but it's not how it was.
Yeah. Just looking at some questions in here. Cole, discuss several pitchers. Thoughts on Mason Black? I don't have much thought on Mason Black. I think he throws a very straight ball that doesn't have much movement, and he's easy to hit. And I don't think he's a major league pitcher.
I was disappointed in watching his stuff last year when he pitched. I heard a lot about him, and yeah, Dan hit it right on the head. His fastball has no movement, and it's not exactly at 98, 99. It's
like low to mid 90, like 93,
93, 94, and just straight as an arrow.
Hit me out of the ballpark, please,
Yeah,
Mr. Batting Practice.
Hit me written all over it. So yeah, he's got some work to do.
Yeah. So not really high on Mason Black. If I can dump him in a deal, some other teams willing to take him. Guys, I want to show you something. And this isn't to be negative again. It's just to bring reality with what we've talked about, the Giants prospects and the rankings on them. Okay, take a look at the surplus value. These are the best surplus values, the Giants. Webb, Adames, Eldridge 3, Bailey, Harrison, Ramos, Fitzgerald, and Walker, and then Birdsong. Those are the only guys above 10. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them. Now, if I haven't even looked at some of these, so I'm not really certain what these other teams look like. But let's just take a look at this guy. Remember, Eldridge's value 41.5. I don't know what the guy that Houston Astros got in the trade from the Cubs, but let's take a look at Cam Smith. Let's just see what he should be lower. I would think he's lower than Eldridge, because Cam Smith, yeah, where is he? I don't even see him on here. Oh, there he is, 17.5. Yeah. Look, the Cubs didn't give up much to get. Look at Paredes. Where's Paredes on here? Paredes. Do you see Paredes on here? I don't even see him on the first page. You guys? Oh, there he is. Paredes, 32. Okay. So 32, and Cam Smith is 17, and I don't even know who the other guy they got. It was some pitcher. Can't remember his name.
So say it's 55. We'll give him 6. That's a courtesy since he's not on the page.
Yeah. I mean, what do the Giants have that without trading Eldridge? They just don't have a lot, guys. And one of the things that I've taken a lot of heat for, and, even from Logan Webb himself, look, I'm not here to dog on Logan Webb. I'm saying he has value, but his value is each year it's going to get a little less, because the reason his value is he's a very good pitcher with a very team-friendly contract. But as he gets closer to free agency, his value will drop. So if you're the Giants and you look at this team and you say, how long is it going to take for them to really contend? And you look at the free agent landscape out there next year, Tucker and Vladdy. Who thinks the Giants are going to get Tucker or Vladdy next year? Anybody?
Nope.
Okay. So you're not going to, and you didn't go after, it looks like you're not going after Alonso or Santander. And you don't want to give up draft picks, but if you want to go after Tucker, you're going to give up draft picks next year because he's going to get a qualifying offer. And the same goes with Vladdy if he becomes a free agent. So I make this point to say, if you really, really want to do this thing the right way, what you would do is you would go out and trade. You would have not signed Adames. You would have traded Harrison, and you would have moved off of him. I'm not Harrison, but Webb, and got some top prospects back and started getting some hitting. But the Giants really are a real mess because they don't have enough pitching either. So this is a huge problem. I would have gone after, if I was running the team, I think what I would have done is I would have gone after some pitching like Burns and Fried, and then I would have traded Webb, and I would have had the pitching in place, and then I would then get some real bats, young bats, and start building this thing up. There's shortstops out there you could have traded for. Why wouldn't you have gone after, Baltimore? What do they need? They need pitching. They won the division last year, right? Didn't they win the division, or did they come in second? I think they came in second, right behind Baltimore. But they won the division the year before. They didn't do it with Jackson Holiday. Why not go after a young Jackson Holiday and have your shortstop of the future who's 20 years old? Why wouldn't you do something like that? Because
they don't think like that. They just don't.
Because Logan Webb is what the Orioles need. They need pitching. And take a look at Jackson Holiday's value here. I'll pull this up for you guys so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, Jackson, can you guys see this right now? Look at remember the Giants had 9 players above 10? You remember that, guys?
Yes.
I'm not looking at the screen. Can you see this? Okay, you can. Okay, so let's take a look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 players over 10, and they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players over 45. 9 players over 45. How many do the Giants have over 45? 2. Webb and Adames. Okay. So as I look at this and I go back to the Orioles and I look at Jackson Holiday, 55. You don't think you could have got Jackson Holiday on the cheap and gotten rid of Webb's $20 million salary or whatever it is, 18, and then used that money to go get Fried and Burns, and then Holiday's making hardly nothing? And you could have had a 20-year-old shortstop of the future instead of a 30-year-old right now who you're paying 26, 27 million a year to?
And we begged the Giants in 22 to get off of Carlos Rodon at the All-Star break, and what he would have brought back, the way he was pitching, my God, he would have brought back all. And we begged them to get off of Blake Snell last year. So he was the hottest pitcher in baseball at the All-Star break and could have brought something back. And they knew damn well more likely that he wasn't coming back. And instead of getting a nice crop of prospects for them, and you figure maybe 1 or 2 might work out, they got absolutely nothing for them. They're just not very good businessmen when it all comes down to it. And they love those middle of the road veterans. That they really adore those 29 to 33-year-old vets. They'll give them, after a great season in their contract year, like they did Adames, they'll give them big money. They'll give Chapman money. But for the life of me, what their viewpoint of young players, for the most part, I know Ramos is an exception, but let's be real. He only got a chance because of injuries. He did not get a chance because of merit when he absolutely deserved it, the way he played in spring training. So I don't know. I hope it changes with Buster, but that remains to be seen as far as viewing young people.
Look at the A's value. Butler, 56. Wilson, 50. Miller, 44. Geloff, 42. Rooker, 34. Langoliers, 30, almost 34. Bleday, 31. Kurtz, 31. All of them under 30. All of them under 30. And you look at the Giants, and they have basically Webb and Eldridge and Bailey that are ranked, I guess, in Harrison. Oh, and you got Ramos too there. So, but
I mean, it's hard to have a lot of hope when you see that. It's as big a Giants fan as you can be, and you got the 3 of us that, when you combine all the years that we've been fans, it's over 100 years if you combine the 3 of us that we've been fans of the Giants. So saying all this is very frustrating for us.
I'm just going to pick a team like the Brewers, see what they've got. I have no idea what the values on these guys are. Look at Churio. Look at that. Look at Churio compared to Eldridge. 103 to like 40 something.
And what did they do with Churio, Dan?
They signed him to a 10-year deal.
But he hadn't even proved himself. Why would they do that? Why would they do that, Dan? Is it
'Cause
smart to do that?
Absolutely, it's smart because you save tons of money and you get a guy locked up through his arbitration years and into his free agent years.
Lou, Dan, would you give Eldridge a long contract right now?
No.
I would once I see him play. I would if he in the majors if he starts proving it in his first year, I would. And
if he has a great spring training and he breaks camp and he is the Giants' first baseman and he gets off to a good start, would you then give him a long contract? Or would you do what most organizations do, which is wait until he explodes and then have to pay him $40 million for the next 10 years? I'd rather give him $100 million for 10 years rather than $400 million for, let's say, 7 or 8. You have to know your talent. Ned Coletti has said this a couple of times when he's come on the show. You have to know your talent. You have to know, and after you're with him day in and day out, whether this kid is going to be a good major league player or not. And you got to take a risk. Like I said, you have to take a chance, because the people that don't and play it safe and play it vanilla, generally, whether you're a coach, whether you're a GM, or whether you're an owner, those vanilla, safe type of responses generally do not work out very well. The most successful people in business, just getting off sports in general, the most successful people in business are risk takers. And that's how and now, since we all know sports is a business now and it's not a game, then you cannot just sit by. And that's why I'm not a big fan of certain coaches and certain owners and certain players, for that matter, that are not risk takers. They're very, very complacent and very happy staying exactly the way they are, average. And that is the epitome of the Giants right now, average.
Yeah, the one reason why I wouldn't sign him yet is, I know we did it with Mad Bum, but he proved himself, and then we got in. I think we signed him to like 4 years, like $15.6 million. And I know with Buster, we signed him, sort of cheap, and then we gave him a huge extension. And the one thing too, guys, and I'm getting a little sick and tired of the chat always talking about Webb like he's great. If you throw out 2021, he's 39-32. Okay. So in 3 years, he's 39-32. I don't want to hear this crap that he finished second in the Cy Young. He had a losing record. Okay. So that tells me voting for the Cy Young that year with pitchers, that's because it was a mediocre year for pitchers. Okay. He's 39-32, guys, in 3 years. So he averages 13 wins and 11 losses. Last year, the Giants had a losing record when he starts. So stop making it like Webb is like a Steve Carlton. Okay. He's not like, he's not a Cy Young guy. He's a guy that gives us a lot of innings. Yeah. But you guys keep making it like we shouldn't trade him because Webb, he's got a good, no, you guys are missing the point. Dan tells us if we don't have prospects to make a trade, we got to trade somebody on the team because he has a friendly contract. If Webb was a normal pitcher making, say, 25, 30 million a year, we wouldn't be able to trade him because the contract's too big. Okay. So what this means is it's such a friendly contract. Instead of us maybe getting one good prospect, we could maybe get 3 good prospects. And as Lo says, maybe have the 3 1 hits. Okay. I'm sick and tired of everyone talking about Webb. Oh, he's got the Matt Cain treatment. No, come on, guys. Matt Cain pitched in the World Series. Webb has never pitched in the World Series. Okay. So don't stop comparing them. Oh, he doesn't get recognition because he pitches 200 innings. But no, Matt Cain was with a different Giants team. So stop fucking comparing them. Okay. Webb and Matt Cain are not the same pitcher. Webb, what he needs to do is, this is not going to be the 3rd year where he's pitched over 200 innings. So don't expect him to be great again. And Dan keeps bringing up this point. Who knows how he's going to be next year? And in 2 years where you could have traded him now, instead of getting 3 prospects, you're going to get 1 prospect. Yeah. And then you're going to be rebuilding. So, it's just one of these things, guys. You you guys keep making him out like, oh my God, he pitches 20-5 and he pitches 300 innings. He's not. Webb is just a good pitcher. He just happens to be the best pitcher on our team that doesn't really have great pitching.
I mean, he did pitch well. I see some comments. He did pitch well in the 21 playoffs.
2021. Let's forget about that whole year.
Yeah.
The whole year was a farce.
What's his ERA been in the last few years?
It's in the low threes, I believe.
I think I probably like Webb the most of the three of us.
3.47 and 3.25.
That's solid.
I actually like Webb. I like Webb. I just don't think that Webb is.
I agree. He's not an ace.
I don't think he's the number one. He is a solid 2.
Right.
And he needs somebody like a Blake Snell or a Corbin Burns around him. It makes him even better. When he has to be the guy to stop a team, he can do it at times, but I just think that Webb is he's one of the better pitchers in baseball. I will say he's probably, I don't know, he's definitely top 10 in the National League. He might be top 10 in all of baseball because he's been in the Cy Young in the top 10. I think he finished second 2 years ago. And then I don't know what he finished last year, but he got some votes. So,
I mean, if you put Logan Webb on a good team, he's winning 13, 14, 15 games. And what I love about Webb that none of our other pitchers do, and that's including the great Blake Snell, when he had, he had got off to the awful start, is he doesn't give you, he gives you innings. Webb gives you innings, which is what is old school baseball. He usually gets into the 7th inning and he saves your bullpen. So I don't know if there's a price tag on that, but I love that Logan takes the ball and he does not want to come out. Like you look at his body language when the manager comes on.
Yeah. No, he's a gamer.
And I like a bulldog like that. Whereas other guys is like, yeah, I'm getting a little tired. Here you go. Please take the ball for me.
I think the problem is with Webb is he has to be every 5th start. He has to be on so much and he's also the number 1 starter. So he's facing the number 1 team, like, whoever's the team's top starter is. And when he's doing that, Giants aren't getting enough runs support for him. So they don't score and they lose, 3-1, 3-2. And this is why, if you look at Webb's starts, the Giants had a losing record in his starts last year. And that is because they don't score and he's facing their best pitcher because they don't have a deep rotation.
Yeah.
Their rotation is ranked 22nd, guys, out of 30 teams going into the 25 season as of right now. And that's with Verlander. Okay. So the Giants, who, if you think they're going to win with anemic hitting that they have, that can't score runs with runners in scoring position, Matt Chapman, who has never had more than 80 RBIs in his career, but one time, has only hit 250 in his career, but one time. And you're paying this guy to play, basically, you say he's an elite third baseman and he has some power. And he comes, you know what? Casey Schmidt, for about 25 million less, 24 million less a year, is an elite third baseman too, and actually hit better than Chapman last year. Average-wise and home runs per plate appearances. He didn't get very many at bats. Not saying he would have finished as well if he had the same amount of bats as Chapman. He might not have. But you know what? You drafted him in the 2nd round. I don't know if you've seen him play third base, Chase. Probably not, because the Giants never give him a shot. But he's a hell of a third baseman. And they're not
even going to give him a chance at second.
No,
base.
he has no. He's not even going to get a chance.
They're gonna give it to Fitzgerald, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'll just end with this on Webb. Webb is a sinker slider pitcher. He throws a lot of ground balls. The key to Webb's success this year, obviously, like Dan said, is getting some run support. My God, he does have a little bit of Matt Cain in it. Well, none of the Giants pitchers get run support because the Giants don't have a good lineup. But the Giants have an excellent defensive left side of the infield for those ground balls. If they get a good defensive second baseman and first baseman, Webb will have a very good year because he'll have 4 good defensive infielders. And his ERA will probably, again, be in the low 3s. He'll, again, give you a lot of innings. Whether his win total is going to be high or not is going to depend on that damn lineup. And we know the way it stands right now, it's going to be more of the same. A lot of strikeouts with guys at third base and a lot of 2 to 3 runs scored for him. So he's going to have a lot of no decisions. I don't fault Webb for that. I fault him being surrounded by excessive talent, which he does not have as far as run support goes.
Yep. You know, I see a lot of people, and I understand. Look, I'm not saying Casey is a all-star player, but Matt Chapman's never made the all-star team. So you guys who are in love with Matt Chapman, you say, well, Casey's not this or that. Let me just show you guys something here. And you know, I'm just looking at what he's done. And if you look at his 22 season, 3 teams highlighted there in yellow, that was his most at bats for a season. 526 plate appearances, 78 RBIs, batted .293, hit 21 homers. I mean, that's not a bad season for 3 teams. Okay. That was A, AA, and AAA. And then if you look at 23 season, he had 217 plate appearances, hit 300. Now, I'd love to see some of you guys who think you played ball before to actually go up and down and take a bat every
5 days or so.
Yeah, get an at bat every 5 days and see how you do. I've talked to Casey. It's very frustrating for him to go up and down, and then, you know, when he went down to Sacramento, he says it would take at least 15 at bats to get his timing back. Guys, you can't. Baseball is a game where you have to be playing almost daily to get your timing back.
Repetition.
Yeah.
So when I look at his numbers here, I don't see a player that, I mean, what are we looking at in the majors here? He's had 360 at bats. He's got 11 home runs. Last year with the Giants, in only 113 plate appearances, hit 252, hit 6 home runs. 6 home runs in 113 plate appearances. What is that? 6 divided by 113? Wait. 113 divided by 6. That's a home run every 18.8 plate appearances. That's better than what Chapman did, okay? But I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just pointing out that you're paying Matt Chapman $25 million a year for a guy who's going to be 32 at the beginning of the season. And Casey is going to turn 26 on March 1st. So I just don't understand the mindset of the Giants. That's all I'm trying to say here is that the Giants, they've signed a guy, Chapman, to be this cornerstone of the team, and he's going to be declining. If he strikes out a ton, compare him to Alex Bregman, guys, who's out there available. Alex Bregman strikes out or 13.3% of the time. Chapman, 26.7, twice as much. You want to know why Bregman has RBIs and Chapman doesn't? Because he's hitting the ball when there's runners in scoring position. I don't get all you Chapman lovers. I mean, Bregman, RBIs. How many RBIs he's had? He's had 2 seasons of over 100 and 2 other seasons over 90. He just missed in 23 with 98, 93 in 2022, 112 and 19, 103 and 18. I don't get your fascination with Matt Chapman and like he's the greatest thing since, wow, we got Matt Chapman, 6th highest OPS of all third basemen, Chase. So what? How's his RBIs? Not driving in runs.
And Dan, in 2023, Chapman batted 240, and he had a whopping 54 RBIs in 140 games, with a much better hitting lineup with Toronto than us. So that tells me something. 54 RBIs.
Isn't it a
better lineup in the American League?
Isn't it absolutely amazing and bewildering at the same time how mediocrity in the Bay Area with certain guys is so loved, like Chapman, like Yastrzemski, like Jake Brendel, like Colton McKivitz, like Lamont Wade. And here's the sad part. It's not only the fans that love this mediocrity, the organization loves this mediocrity. That's what blows me away. It's one thing for fans who, hey, they're not the experts. They don't supposedly know the game all that well, but it's the organizations that like and keep telling us all that these mediocre players are really good players, just lying straight to our face.
Just like Bozo of the Warriors.
Yep. And, and that's why, like Dan said it earlier, the one organization I'm really, truly excited about, and I know we don't talk about them too much, is the Sharks, because they just went all in. They put all their chips to the table on youth. And yes, they're going to struggle now, but I guarantee you, come a year or two from now, another good draft, they're going to be maybe the organization that the Bay Area is talking about.
Most exciting team in the Bay Area, correct.
I think Ben makes a good point here. I like Chapman's glove and reliability to play every day, but he just shouldn't be hitting above 6 in this lineup. I agree, Ben. I've said it many times. I think Chapman is a really good ball player. He's a ball player you like to have on your club because he's a leader. He plays every day. I'm not dogging Matt Chapman, the player, as much as I'm really coming down on the organization for making him the cornerstone when there's nothing else around him except maybe Ramos. Okay. Yes. Now you've added Adames. Okay. So you're starting to build pieces. Maybe Jung-Hoo Lee. We don't know what he's going to do. He could become a really good hitter. From what I saw last year, I saw sparks of what appeared to be a guy that can hit to all fields. But then I saw a lot of weak contact and a lot of grounding out, just grounding out to second, just over and over and over again, and not much pop. So Lee is going to have to become a much better guy that really slaps the ball into the gaps, get it in the air, because he doesn't have a lot of loud contact from what I saw last year in limited time.
Do you think another organization gives Chapman 6 and 151?
No way.
That's what I mean.
That's why Bregman's not signed. Why is Bregman not signed? Because Chapman was an overpay.
It's funny. The Bay Area likes to talk about, certain things like, oh, if Kyle Shanahan is let go, like all these coaches and organizations will gobble them up, but they never turn it around and go the other way. Like, nobody would sign Chapman to 6-151. I don't know if anybody would give Verlander $15 million for 1 year. I don't know if anybody would have Yastrzemski on the books at $9 million. So you gotta see it both ways. Like, why are the Bay Area teams in so many cases paying excessive prices for mediocrity? Like, I agree with Dan. Like, Chapman is a good player. We're not dogging him that he's not a good player, but that's all he is. He's not somebody that you build your team around, because he's just a very, very excellent glove. Yaz shouldn't even be on the roster. I mean, I'm sick of, well, he's a good fourth outfielder. No, man, I don't want him as a fifth, eighth. I don't want him as a 12th outfielder. I want him off the team. Get veterans off the team, because when you get veterans off the team, you don't have, the possibility of keeping, playing them. That's really
you blocked Ramos for all these veterans, for Slater and Yaz last year and Conforto. All these guys were playing ahead of Ramos. And you know what? Had those guys not got injured, you guys wouldn't even know who Elliot Ramos is, because he wouldn't be on the Giants today. He would have been traded. Farhan had no use for him. They were forced to bring him up because they had no other outfielders on the roster. And I was telling you guys for 2 years, Ramos has the tools. Let him play. Now it's Matos, as Ben says. And Chase says, yes, they would pay Chapman, or some other team would pay Chapman.
Not 6 years.
No way. Let me just show you guys something here, and I will put something up here on the board. I want you to take a look at, and I want you to compare just a couple of guys here. Tell me which player you want on your team. Anybody? Los, you want the guy on the left?
No, I want the guy on the right.
Lou, what do you want?
All I needed to do is look at batting average. I'm a batting average guy. But, oh, by the way, homers are higher, hits are higher.
I'd probably take the guy on the right with the OPS, which is 132.
Stolen bases are higher.
Ben can't. It's colorable. Okay, so let's see here. Let's see let's reveal who these guys are. Who do you think these guys are?
Chapman will be on the left, and Bregman will be on the right.
There you go. And why isn't Bregman signed right now?
Because of Chapman's contract.
I think so.
He wants the same and as many years.
He wants more because he deserves more. That's the problem. He wants 6 years and probably closer to 180 to 200.
Him and his agent know that he's better than Chapman. So if Chapman gets that, then that's the way sports work and contracts work. And Bregman has hit in the postseason in clutch situation. Yeah. He's come up with some big knocks. I don't remember Chapman having any walk-offs or any big hits in the playoffs.
Yeah. We'll see what happens with the Giants. I don't know if they're going to sign anybody. That was the theme of tonight's thumbnail. I look right now, and it was 125 from the Blue Jays offered. Yeah, that was a year ago. He would be on year 2 of 5 right now. Now he's starting 6 years. He would have got 5 last year, Chase. This is year 2. So he would only have
3 more years.
He would have had, 1 was last year. He would have 2.
He'd have 3 more years because the first year with the Giants is gone.
No, he'd have 4. He'd have 4 years left. He'd have 4 years left. And that's what the Giants should have signed him to. The problem is not the AAV so much with Chapman. It's the years.
It's the years, yeah.
You signed him for 2
and no
extra
trade
years.
clause, thanks to Buster.
2 extra years. So that's the problem. And that's why, I think Chapman will be fine for the next 2-3 years. It's the last 3 years of the deal that I think you're going to go, dang, we're saddled with this deal here. And Chapman
sadly, Dan, that's how baseball is right now. They're giving contracts to guys until they're 40, 41 years old.
All right. Let's take a look at another person here. All right. let's just do this, because we're talking about aging, right? We're talking about aging of contract.
Oh,
So Chapman is going to be 32. He's got 6 years to go, right?
yep.
So in 3 years, after 3 years, he's going to be entering his 30, because he's going to be 32 this year. So in 3 years, 32, 33, 34, he's going to play in 3 years. The last half of his contract, he will be 35. Correct?
Yep.
Correct? All right.
Yes.
Let's take a look at a player who's already in decline. Tell me, you'll probably be able to see who the player is. But look at this player. He's going to be 34 this year, and he's already in decline. Do we know who we're talking about?
Nolan Arenado.
Exactly. Nolan Arenado, people. And he still hit 272 last year. Chapman's never even hit 250.
I'll take 272 with a good glove, Dan, all day.
So, clearly Arenado, if you look at his stats, he is in some decline. His home runs have been going down, 34 and 21, 30, 26, 16. He's starting to decline because what happens? Bat speed goes with age, right? It's just, father time is undefeated, right? So why are we giving a guy 6 years when we're talking about, and then you're talking about this, some guys in the chat talking about, well, Buster can't do it all in 1 year. He's looking to get guys going, and it's kind of a mini rebuild to see what guys have. So you're really just wasting one of Chapman's good years that he has left. Am I not making sense here?
You are.
Yeah, you need tone setters, Chase. Yeah, how did that work last year? Tone setter, match 80 wins.
There was a lot of guys on base for Chapman, and he did not come through because he strikes out a ton. And it's not just, you got to think about this from a different context. By signing him to 6 years and no trade, it's like the Giants shouldn't even draft a third baseman. Why? What if they drafted a third baseman this year, and in 3 years the kid's a stud, and he's begging to be called up? But we can't bring him up because we got Chapman locked in that position for 6 years with a no trade clause. That's what you do. When you give that long of a contract to a player at this age, then the job is his unless he gets injured. And no young prospect can come, and you're just hurting the ball club. Instead of getting a young guy with the stock going up, you keep playing a guy out there that's older, declining, and the stock going down. And that's what the Giants do far, far too often. They would be horrible stockbrokers, let me tell you that. Horrible.
You can't trade Chapman, Chase, unless he agrees to it. He's got a no trade clause in his contract.
Yeah, Boris
that was the hang-up.
Made sure he put that in there, and Buster gave
that
him.
was the hang-up. He wants to stay in one place. He likes being in California. He played in Oakland. Now he's in San Francisco, and he's like, you're stuck with Chapman. Now, look, if you add players around Chapman right now, that's all we're saying. I'm not saying Chapman is like this guy you don't want on your team. He's a good ball player.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I don't like Matt Chapman. I don't like him on this team the way it's currently constructed, because you don't have enough to compete right now. And if you're going to have a Chapman and an Adames, then why aren't you just going for it? I don't get it. Either, you're dicking around with not signing pitchers because you don't want long-term, but yet you don't have enough. It's one thing if you're like the Colorado Rockies, who have like the 6th, 7th ranked farm system, and it's up and coming, and you're like, no, we're not going to sign these guys because we're not ready to compete. The Giants don't have a farm system to compete. So you've got to either do it through trades, which how do you get trades if you don't have guys that are worthwhile nobody wants? But they want, your top guys. They want maybe your top 4 or 5 guys. That's it. But you're not willing to give up your top 4 or 5 guys because, look, guys, you know what their 10th ranked prospect is? You want to know who their 10th ranked prospect is? Let me show you who their 10th ranked prospect is. I think it's Maui Ahuna. Okay. Let me look. Top 30 prospects. Here they are. Number 1, Bryce Eldridge. Number 2, James Tibbs. Wisenhunt 3, Jordan 4, Arias 5, Whitman 6, Walker Martin 7, Mason Black 8, Reggie Crawford 9, Maui Ahuna 10. Do you guys want to see what Maui Ahuna is worth on the trade machine? What they think of his surplus value? Well, let me show you. I'm glad you asked because this is the 10th. I mean, we're not talking about the 90th ranked prospect. We're talking about the 10th ranked prospect on the San Francisco Giants. Let me pull up. All right, here we go. Pull this up. Take a guess. What do you think his value is, Lou? Or
-5?
No, it's not that bad, but what do you think?
2.4.
0.8.
Let's see if we can find Maui Ahuna. Go to the second page. Let's go to the third page.
He's got a great name though.
Yes, he does. Maui Ahuna. There he is. 0.9, along with Wade Meckler, the 15th ranked prospect, at 0.7. Let's look at let's pull up Joe Whitman, shall we? Joe, whoops, I went the wrong way. Sorry about that, guys. Let me go back.
Looking at their farm is depressing. It is, man. It's so depressing.
It is so.
You would think that being as bad as they've been the last 6 to 7 years, with the exception of 21, and having some decent draft positions, that they would have hit on somebody. But God, wow.
Who's their 6th ranked prospect? Joe Whitman. How about James Tibbs, guys? How about James Tibbs? He's their 3rd or 2nd ranked prospect. Second ranked prospect, Joe Tibbs. And he was their number 1 draft pick, and he's at 9.1. 9.1, guys. I mean, we're looking at other franchises, teams' picks, and they're in the 20s, 30s, and 40s. How about Joe Whitman?
Can you scroll up on that, Dan? Up
this way or this way? This way.
Where's Dakota Jordan at on that list?
We're gonna look for Dakota Jordan. He's right there at 7. He's their 4th ranked prospect.
I'm very intrigued by him. When they drafted him, I watched some film on him, and he has as much power as I've seen a Giant player have in a long time. Him and Eldridge both have a lot of power. Whether it translates, I don't know. But I was generally kind of excited with that pick. But let's see how it turns out.
I'm just saying, guys, I don't know who makes these surplus values, but let's Lou, do me a favor. Do you know how to look up somebody? Let me look at another team. You know what? I'll do that. I will pull up and look at another team's top prospects. And you know what? Let's just take a look at the Texas Rangers. Let's see if no, that's not available. I wanted to see if I could pull up some other teams' top.
Go to like Tampa Bay that has, I think, has the number one prospects, for an example.
All right, let me pull up Tampa Bay.
God, I don't even know an organization whose payroll is always down at the bottom, and yet they're always competitive. What did I say earlier? Tampa has great scouting department, In fact, that guy was the guy I wanted to be general manager.
Yep.
No disrespect to Posey. I like that guy and his track record. But
Okay, so here's the Rays. Come on. Oops, I must be on the wrong page. Let me go to page 1. That's what I'm. Page 1. Tampa Bay. Surplus. Okay. Carson Williams. He's a 60. Xavier Isaac. He's a 39.6. Well, we'll just look. You know what? Let's just do levels. Let's just do the minors. There we go. There's your guys right there.
Yeah,
60,
Williams,
39. The Giants, I mean, just take a look at this. This is just minors, guys. Let me show you if I go to the Giants minors. Let me change this to minors. There you go. Look at 9 is the second guy. 9. and guys, I'm not trying to pour, cold water on everything. I'm just giving you reality. This is why the Giants have the 30th ranked farm system, is because we hear these guys' names and we go, oh yeah, oh my goodness. Christian, what was his name? Christian Arroyo.
Arroyo, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Jesse Foppert. Oh,
Gary Brown.
Gary Brown. Chris Shaw.
Yeah.
How about the pitching guys? All the pitching guys that we drafted in the first round that were supposed to be stars.
Well, we had a good one years ago, but we traded him for Carlos Beltran.
Yeah.
Well, with the Phillies. The one good one we had. Adios, buddy. Let's go Giants.
Chase. Chapman was better than Bregman in every way last year, except Bregman had some playoff at bats. Ouch.
Yeah. Chase loves him some Chapman. So what are you gonna do?
Chase loves Chapman. Yeah, and he went to San Diego State. He said he's down on Casey Schmidt, which
I
is.
tell you, if Bregman leaves Houston and I'm Houston, I call the Giants and ask them what they want for Casey. That would be a nice roll of the dice. I bet Casey would do well in Houston as their third baseman. Surrounded by that lineup in that ballpark with that glove, man. And we will be pulling for him on this show for sure, no matter where he goes.
Yeah, Dallas, it's I don't want to sit here and complain about it. I just want to see them choose a direction. That has been my focus for years on this show. It's been choose a lane. We've done even when we had Ned Coletti on here and we talked about choosing a lane, you've got to, as an organization, decide, are we going for it and we're going to really try to compete? Look, you're not the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Kansas City Royals. You're not playing in a mid to low market. You are the 5th largest market in all of baseball. You're probably not going to ever do a rebuild, although Houston did and Baltimore did, and it worked out pretty darn well. So my point is, if you're not going to rebuild, then you better spend money because you don't have a farm system to bring up people, and you certainly haven't been able to make a trade. When's the last trade involving a Giants minor leaguer that brought in a top prospect or a ready-made baseball player that was star potential happen?
Ooh. I can't even recall.
The biggest trade I think they've made was Haniger and DeSclafani for Robbie Ray. That's the biggest trade they've made in like 5-6 years under Farhan. So I don't know of any. And they haven't traded any of their minor leaguers. They never traded Bart. They let him go for nothing. They're going to do the same to Luciano if they don't trade him in the next month, because he's got 1 year of option, and I don't see a spot for him on the roster this year. Chris Bryant was a trade, yes, at the deadline, correct, in 21.
Lou, you have your tickets for this year, Lou?
I do.
All right, we're going to get out of here, guys. We have gone enough. So we will end it right here. But, look, we're not here to just bash the Giants. When the Giants start making positive moves, we'll be right on it. We'll be the first to tell you, and we'll get excited, and we'll be all over it. Do the Giants – we'll see. I'm still in the wait-and-see mode, see what Buster does. And if he makes incremental moves to get better, let's see what Fitzgerald can do. Let's see if Matos gets a chance. I'll tell you what, if Yaz is the opening day right fielder, I will just say I don't anymore. Because if Matos doesn't get to beat out Yaz, and you're going to go with a guy that's going to turn 35 in August for a franchise that is going nowhere but fourth place this year, then I don't know what to tell you, because that's just more and more of the same old regurgitating. I mean, what's the definition of insanity, Los?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting the different results.
Yeah, exactly.
One last question for both of you and the chat if they want. Do you think with Farhan out of the building, do you think platooning stays the same or is a little bit lessened? Do you think Melvin will actually get back to old school baseball?
I think it's going to be a little less. I do think it's going to be a little less.
A little less? Yeah, I hope so.
I hope it's a lot less. I mean, Fitzgerald they need to see if Fitzgerald can play or not. They do need to see that. If he can, then you might have found something. They also need to see if Matos can play. And if
I say that because, to your point, like I could see opening day, they're facing a righty. Matos has outplayed Yaz in the spring by a wide margin, and they play Yaz because it's a lefty on righty. And that, like you said, will immediately tell us where their thought process is, right from the jump. If you start Matos, despite it being a right-handed hitter because he earned the job, then we'll be like, oh, okay, you're starting a righty on a righty. You're not giving a crap. But if they go lefty-righty with the lesser player, which is what they've done for the last few years, then even with Farhan out of the building, they're still continuing to think that way.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see. We'll give more updates as the season gets closer. Turd. I like that. Well, stay tuned. I can't. All right, guys. Well,
that's VIP content right there.
Yeah, that's
got to be a member.
Yeah,
behind the scenes information.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining. Lou, final words you got?
I think Los brings up a good point, because remember, we start on the road, 3 at Cincinnati, 3 at Houston. And then, we come home for a tough Seattle, who's got good pitching. So I don't want to see Yaz, and it just doesn't make sense because, he's old. He is a defensive replacement. He's not even our 4th outfielder. He's probably number 5. But if I see him in the starting lineup, then like I said, I think Buster's just a patsy, and he's just filling in for a while, because I don't want to see him either.
All right, guys. I've got a videos coming out, I think tomorrow. Alonso. Got one on Luciano. Should the Giants trade Luciano? You're going to want to watch that. Going to want to watch the update on Pete Alonso. So we'll get some videos coming out tomorrow. I've already recorded them. And tomorrow night we'll be back here, 7:45. We'll talk some we'll figure out what we're going to talk about. There's a Warriors post game, possibly playing the Raptors. I don't think we'll do one. Who cares?
Hey, Dan, I just wanted to bring up one thing about your new sponsor. Next weekend is huge, where, we have the playoffs, where we're down to 8 in the NFL. It's going to be exciting. We also have the national championship, CFP, following Monday, and there's a new sponsor. Dan will go over it with you.
Go Irish.
Yeah, so it should be very fascinating, but it's something that, Dan's trying to help you guys out. Here's a perfect example. If you do what he says, you actually make extra money. So, Dan, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the script that I can read. I got so many different things that keep coming at me, guys. But we do have a sponsor with BETR. That's Betor. They're a fantasy sports app where you can, pick certain things. Like, for example, we had today, I believe Ryan had a game picked with, I think it was Josh Allen and Javonte Williams doing certain things, going over a certain number of yards or under. If you sign up using the promo code NCSN with Better, BETR, download the app, you get a match of $250, a first-time match. So if you put in $10, which is the minimum, they'll give you $10 extra. If you put in 80, they'll give you 80. If you put in 300, they'll give you 250, up to 250, guys. So go over to Better and put in the promo code NCSN. Otherwise, you don't get the 250. NCSN. And Bill, very depressing, boys, for sure. Getting up early to fly to Hawaii tomorrow for 15 days. See you in 2 weeks. Kona. All right,
Thanks
Bill.
for the invite.
That's one way
man.
not to be depressed anymore.
There you go.
Aloha.
Have it great. What does Eddie K say? Get organized. You had completed all 9 and categorized, but you can't organize your desk. Organization, that is not my tea. That is not my cup of tea. Too good. Yeah. That's funny, Eddie. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Bill, again, enjoy Hawaii. We'll miss you. We'll definitely miss you. Hopefully you might be able to check in, catch out some videos, maybe when you're on the beach, just relaxing and enjoy your time. Guys, we will see you tomorrow night. Everybody catch the videos. Take care.